What's up, y'all? So, what I find interesting, and what I think that people should talk about is accountability, where people, grown folks, right? Obviously, they are consenting to engaging in these behaviors that could be considered promiscuous or polyamorous and things like that. And I'm the person who send these messages, and I'm like, hey, do you, boo boo, do what makes you happy, as long as you're doing it healthy, and long as what you're doing it healthily. It makes me no difference, because they're not doing it in my spot. I'm just like a true friend like that. Like, when my friends feel a certain type of way or whatever, and we may even have like different views, like they may be on some stuff that I'm not, or whatever, that I'm not necessarily into or whatever, but when I love the people that I love them hard. I don't care if that's my family or my friends. But one thing that people need to do is really be aware and take accountability of the negative things or the adversities that come with, polyamory, or, the wife who is trying to be more open with her husband and, trying to please him and make him happy. So, a couple is married and they have their vows or whatever, and they're going to stick to whatever their vows are, or whatever they decide are the rules in their marriage. And then they decide they want to be swingers, or they decide they want to be, polyamorous. So the issue that I notice with that is that a lot of times what I have observed is that the man will be so undisciplined and will be so spoiled in a way where he is getting so much of what his desires are, that he eventually becomes out of control. So a woman, a wife more specifically, she agrees to bring women into their marriage, or like I said, even a woman that is unmarried to her partner or her lover, she agrees to bring another woman into their life or whatever. And she says, well, I want to do this to please my man, or to make my man happy, but it seems as though these men, they become out of control and they can't control their urges, but then also they become undisciplined. So it seems like, it's never enough. And why is it never enough? Well, because, my wife or my woman or my lady or my boo, she's with it, and she's really, with all of that. Like, she's really down for all of that. And then say that there are, alcohol and drugs and whatever people's vices are, whatever they choose to party with that is involved, then they also don't have the part of the mind that, tells you like, hey, you might not want to do this, or hey, the good reasoning part of the mind. So it's very suppressed. It's like your inhibitions is gone, and you're just kind of living freely. So outside of doing whatever their behaviors are that they are engaging in together, he decides to continue to do those things behind her back without her knowing with other women. And then he uses the excuse when they're together and then they have a disagreement. He says, well, you agreed to it before when we engaged together and we brought this lady in, or we brought this woman in, or that woman in, and you agreed to it before, so why is it a problem now? And she's like, oh, I have a problem with that because you didn't ask me and we didn't agree to this woman together, right? So it's like this craving, this thirst, and this urge, and now it's just like, how many more, women can one experience within that way? And then sometimes it's kind of like what I've heard plenty of times, I absolutely agree with. They say that when a person gets and experience so much of one thing, they become bored with it. So then they start to venture out and then, try other things. Not to say that that's the case with everyone, but it is highly likely. So besides, the things that we want to consider when we want to talk about engaging with people in an intimate way, physically intimately, the demons that you get from other people, bringing other people into your bedroom, into those experiences, right? And then obviously the diseases and things that not enough people are talking about. It's really a lot. And it's like, what you won't do for love, or what you would do for love, or what won't you do for your partner, your significant other. These women are finding that their unions or their marriages are not lasting when they have agreed to let a side chick or another woman come into their marriage. And like I said, I'm not the one to judge. Quite frankly, I don't care. I think people should do what makes them happy. I don't live I don't live by these strict standards and things, because people are grown, and I know that, realistically, I'm a realist. I know that people are going to do what makes them happy. And they'll do it behind closed doors and, in privacy and things. And then they'll act like that they're not. People put on facades all the time, and they act like, that everything is all good. And then, it's holy and it's righteous. But behind closed doors, they're not doing holy and righteous things. They're doing things. They're actually tending to their desires and the things that, they want to do. And again, this is not a judgment. I'm not here to judge anybody, but I think that it's something that women aren't talking about, that they should talk about, that should be considered, and also that should be acknowledged. Accountability. When you are experiencing something like that in your marriage, like, what do you do? How do you repair your marriage when your marriage has been sabotaged based on actions and behaviors that you consented to? That gotta be hard. That gotta be really hard. For me, it's like, I don't even want to be in real friendship or even do business with people that makes it seem like I'm compromising my integrity. Being around people that I want to do business with, like, maybe my talents, my gifts, the craft, we have a similarity there, but they do things that I don't do. It's kind of hard. And like I said, I don't want to be judgmental, but at the end of the day, I wholeheartedly believe that we should have people around us who share similar values, similar standards and ways and things, and that can be hard sometimes, especially when you're trying to network, or you're trying to go in business with people, or you're trying to network with people that have similar talents, gifts, or craft as you. That can be hard sometimes. So, as humans, we do different things for different reasons and things. But when you talk about, the whole physical intimacy, or the the polyamorous lifestyle and things. There's so much that women have to be accountable for, and so much that women have to, that there's so much that women should be aware of before deciding to say, yes, I'm going to behave in this way, I'm going to engage in this way, I'm going to bring this person into my union, right? People become reckless, they become loose, and people have their fantasies, desires, whatever. We're human. That really goes without saying. But the problem with people and engaging in certain type of different ways is the lack of accountability. There's so much lack of accountability in so many different ways in our grown lives, or should I say, I don't want to even include myself in that, because I know what I do, and I know, I don't even have to get into that. I just know that I've been handling my business. But for some people, and I've heard their stories, like for people that I actually like, that I actually care for some of these people that we may be fans of and things, it really makes me feel a way. Like, I really, I feel for you that you are experiencing, the adversities or the negative effects of, deciding to engage in certain things, right? All for the love of your significant other, right? Anyways, I could say so much more about this topic. I might do a part 2 of this topic of the, the negative side of bringing other people into your union, your marriage, or whatever. In the meantime, you guys, be safe. Have a good one.